Welcome back to the Graham Stephan Show. So this is the stupidest debt that I've ever seen anybody take out in my entire life, and it's from none other than Caleb Hammer. He posted this video, appropriately titled, "The Stupidest Debt That Anyone's Ever Taken Out." And this is something I really wanted to comment on and watch it with you guys because it's pretty stupid. As soon as you hit the like button and subscribe, it helps out the channel tremendously, and I'll link to Caleb's video down below in the description. You can check that out as well. With that said, let's begin.
My name is Dustin Foray. I'm 27 years old. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I am a filmmaker. And you're watching Financial Audit.
We're all New Orleans stuff. Thank you for the gifts.
Oh yeah, he's got the bling on. Jeez, this is Louisiana. This is Mardi Gras. You get beads for, well, you could use your imagination. You get beads, okay? You get beads for participating in activity. Or you know what? You could just go and buy them. Go and buy them on Amazon and get the beads for a fraction of the price. They're free. Anyway, we'll continue.
How's New Orleans for the film industry?
So if you want to be like a writer, director, auteur type, which is kind of the field that I'm trying to be in, it's very like independent in the sense that it's like you have to make your own work and you have to make friends that'll help you make your work.
Sounds like he really needs to move to Los Angeles. That's where all the film work happens. Los Angeles, I believe Atlanta is a pretty big market. Potentially New York, very expensive. For him, probably Atlanta would be ideal. They give so many subsidies right now for the film industry. They're all going to Atlanta. Las Vegas is trying to bid on that, by the way. They're trying to vote on giving substantial tax benefits for companies that move to Las Vegas for the film industry. I think it's fantastic. It's just a 5-hour drive, 4-hour drive away from Los Angeles. They save a ton of money and they get money back.
I went to film school at the University of New Orleans, and usually like outside of school, I was like doing film, but it wasn't like Hollywood. It was like, you know, my friend's short film, which pays you an exposure of bucks and, you know, favor tokens and pizza.
Don't stop doing that for exposure. Jeez, I very rarely do, you know, those things work out where it's like, yeah, getting paid in exposure, it's so rare that it's actually more advantageous than just not doing it at all. Most of the time, you're just working for free, getting nothing in return. That's bad. At least ensure that you're going to get something back in return without just like, oh yeah, we'll give you credit on it, on this film that's not going to do anything. That's the problem, though.
After I graduated, still wasn't finding work, so then I was like, let me go to grad school. But instead of going to like AFI or Cal Arts or another school, I went back to the same school for grad school.
Well, that's okay.
You know, here's the thing. It's like you dig a hole for yourself, right? And you look up and you realize, I've dug pretty deep. So let me dig a little deeper. And just you keep doing it, just doubling down, hoping that maybe eventually it's going to get you out of the hole. No, that doesn't work like that. You just dig yourself deeper in the hole, wasting time.
I mainly got this like one client right now who's kind of like, that's where most of the money come from. And so on a given month, my average is like $5,000.
$60,000. That's more than a livable income for in a lot of places in the United States.
Yeah, here's the thing though, $60,000. He's got to pay an extra 8% on top of that in taxes because it's self-employment. So basically, you're responsible for paying both the employer and the employee side of taxes on that. So instead of paying the usual like 8% in tax that you pay on, you know, your payroll, he's paying 15.3. It's high.
I was getting advice from my dad because he was like, what do you mean you can't afford a car? His advice to me was instead of a third was to save 25%. I was trying to follow that for the last like month or so, but a part of me is kind of second guessing it. And then also after watching a handful of your episodes, I'm kind of like, who wants a new car?
Yeah, here's the thing though. When you're not self-employed, maybe 25%, you know, okay, that's fine. When you're self-employed, your income's so variable, you pay higher taxes a lot of the time. Saving as much as possible is extremely important because you never know. Your income could dry up for months in a row and you gotta survive. So always just plan for the worst. Save as much money as possible. Ideally half.
And then the tax bracket, 30. I would do 30% because this is safe and I don't want to F around with the IRS. You know what else you don't F around with? Hitting that subscribe button because it's so fun to just push it, then it changes to like a white or something like that. And it's so pleasant.
I agree with that. Here's the thing. If you hit the like button, it changes to, what color is it? It's black. But you get a cool confetti, which is really neat. So if you want to see the confetti, hit the like button and then you can subscribe and it turns from normal to black. That turns black too. So just hit both. It's fun. Just trust me on it. You'll have a lot of fun by doing that.
I'm just worried because statistically, Louisiana is one of the more poor states. So
Yes.
part of me is like, if I'm making good money for Louisiana, I have a feeling I'm making jack squat for a state that I want to move to.
$60,000, not necessarily.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If he can make $60,000 there, he can make $100,000 somewhere else where there's more work. I think Atlanta, Georgia. A lot of the film industry's going there. It's not as expensive as Los Angeles or New York, so there could be a lot of opportunity there. But his thing of, sacrificing, you're like, listen, your 20s, come on. Don't live it up in your 20s. You haven't worked for it in your 20s. You barely even scratched the surface of what you could accomplish. Even for me, I'm 33 and I'm feeling like still that's too early. I think 40s and 50s, you could start to really ease off your work, really enjoy things, not feel guilty about living in the moment, all that stuff. Maybe you could try that in your 30s. In your 20s, just double down, just work really hard. That'll set you up for the rest of your life if you do it correctly. Or if you make a lot of really good choices, save as much as possible, it's doable.
I took out the personal loan when I saw that there was a camera that I wanted, the Sony FX9. It usually goes for $16K, and I found a fully kitted out one for like $9,400. The seller, I guess, got hacked.
What?
The seller got hacked.
Okay.
The camera never came.
What? That has nothing to do with him. What? He's being fed. He's being fed a story of lies and bullcrap. There's no way the seller gets hacked.
Oh, sorry, don't get the camera free now, but I'm gonna keep your money.
Come on, that doesn't happen.
I eventually got my money back.
How much? The total?
Not the full 10,000.
Why?
I spent 1,000 of it on a lens to go with that camera.
Okay.
I do have the lens. I just don't have the camera. So I paid back $9,400. So there is...
Of this?
Yes.
All right, so at least there's a happy ending on that. But it goes to show you, it's just like, you gotta be careful with your purchases anywhere. Just be thorough, make sure there's some sort of purchase protection. You can layer it with a credit card. Do everything you can to avoid paying something in cash that once the money's gone, it's gone.
$3,165. Because $3,165 is worse. It was certainly worse. I'm glad you paid that back, and I'm glad you didn't just go spend that and keep the loan. But it's at 15.44% interest rate.
Which I did not learn was a problem until a week ago.
Oh man, 15% interest. Here's the thing though, if you got the camera and could actually cash flow it, I think it's smart. I've heard a lot of people spend like 20 grand on high-end camera equipment, and then they just rent it out like once a month and it pays for the camera. And then, within a short period of time, they got the camera, they're able to get it for free, still makes money. It's like buying a little rental property, but you really have to network and know what you're doing to be able to rent it out like that. So it's not entirely passive, but can actually make you some pretty decent money.
Listen, no, I get it. There is a lot that you learned and a lot you can learn. There's a lot I learned in composition school as well. But I also know if I just paid for private lessons instead of going through everything else, like I could have walked away with the same thing, been paid a fifth overall.
Yeah, that's the thing though. You could learn so much online and just have the competency of someone who spent 4 years in school, and you could probably get it done in like 6 months. Like if you really put your head down, just learn what you need to learn, the real practical stuff, just get it over with for a fraction of the price. I don't know if employers could view that though as like having good work experience and the track record. At least when you have a degree, you have a piece of paper showing you that at least you're guaranteed to know the base amount. But I wish more employers would simply look at like how they applied themselves, their own work, where they learned from, and take YouTube seriously. Just self-learning, I think, is going to be a huge thing in the future.
I opened up a new account to where the plan was whatever I earned off the camera or whatever I saw siphoned from my income, I was going to put into this account to specifically. Yeah. But none of that's happening anymore because I repaid most of the loan and I'm just going to have to siphon the rest from my income. You know what I mean?
Oh, man, it's too bad he can't find another deal like that or just start hunting for good camera equipment. If he really believes and has the knowledge that's going to be a good business, he might be onto something with that. He might be able to make some decent money, but taking on a loan at 15%, bit risky on that. But then again, it seems like his worst case scenario is really just the 15% a year. Even if he's able to just keep pace with his payments, the downside's not terrible if he knows what he's doing.
What's the rate you're getting on this 360 performance savings? Of which you have $3,000 in, which I'm happy.
I want to say it was like 3.5, 3.5, somewhere in that ballpark. I know you usually recommend SoFi.
But absolutely, yeah. I have that link to get the bonus in the description because everyone should be getting 4.3% or higher.
I agree. Even money market funds right now are paying like 4.5 to 5. And treasuries, you could lock your money in for anywhere between like a few weeks to like 2 years. In a treasury that pays you above 5%. I've seen right now, the highest I've ever seen is like 5.4% locked in for, I think it was like 18, 24 weeks, give or take. But still, earning a guaranteed 5% plus right now is fantastic. That's a good deal.
I bought a CD with a 5.08% APY and put $12,000 in that.
Okay. Where is it now?
It's in that CD. It's 4 months, and once the 4 months is up, it's going to come right back to me.
I don't see what's that bad about it. I mean, yeah, an emergency fund, if he needs it, he's going to take a bit of a hit on it. But then again, it's like 5% locked in, pretty good. Pretty good for 4 months, okay? He could do a lot worse than that. I tend to agree. I don't see the big issue on that.
She explained to me that ACD is a terrible place to keep an emergency fund because if an emergency arises,
exactly, you want your emergency fund to be accessible at all times, so just put it in a high yield.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of the spectrum here. Number one, if he puts it in a CD, it's locked away. You can't really touch it. Actually, almost all CDs allow you to take the money out, but there's a bit of a penalty. Sometimes you'll forfeit some of the interest. Sometimes you'll just pay like a flat rate, or you could get the money out if you need to. It's there, but you're not going to get the full 5%. Others, I think Ally Bank offers a no penalty CD, but it's lower right now than what they're just paying in a savings account. So you may as well just take the savings account. The difference in interest though, it's marginal. Like he's talking about maybe like 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks difference between a high yield and that CD. Is it worth it? Maybe.
Should be writing off that Adobe Cloud.
I do have the Keeper app, which lets me write off stuff. And I was able to write off stuff last year. I don't know if you have the tax return that I sent you, but come to find out though, an LLC would have probably been a wiser way of
easier
writing.
pass through and everything.
I agree with him on the LLC. So when you're self-employed, what you could do is run your income through an S corporation or an LLC. And basically what that does is it allows you to separate your income into two sides. So let's just say you make $100,000 a year. You could say that the LLC will pay you a salary of $50,000 a year. Now on that salary of $50,000 a year, you gotta pay the full self-employment taxes if you're, an employee. But the other $50,000 is given to you as a distribution. And what that means, you don't have to pay a Social Security tax, Medicare tax, all that other sort of stuff. So you save about 8% in taxes by doing this. So again, the more you know.
Blue Shield, Blue Cross, that's my health insurance, which I don't know, they kind of suck. I don't know why I'm paying health insurance.
Health insurance you should have. Whether it's that, I don't know. Then $1,300 spent on another card.
I agree. He needs health insurance because the thing is, one bad experience or one bad injury could wipe him out financially. And that's something he doesn't want to have. Like imagine he breaks a leg, something happens, and boom, it's $100,000. Where's he going to get the $100,000? It can be very difficult for him to deal with. Sure, you could try filing bankruptcy. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Instead, just get some basic health insurance that covers you in the event of a catastrophic, injury or something like that. That's all you need. And then over a certain amount, they cover you. Like for me, I basically have it on my health insurance where if it's over $8,000, they kick in. If it's under $8,000, I pay for it myself.
So we have $6,039. What is this, a Roth IRA?
Yes, Roth IRA.
Good. You clearly have not been maxing it out. You want to max it out minimum $6,500 right now every year, and that should go up with inflation.
Yeah, so he should be at least contributing more to a Roth IRA. I feel like he's in a position right now, if he's taking on debt and doing all this sort of stuff and investing back in his equipment, he could invest back into himself, do the Roth IRA investment, because at least right now he could be in a low tax bracket after all of these write-offs. Contribute, just max out the Roth IRA. That should be the number one priority right now. Max that thing out, please.
Why didn't you get the $10,000 plus lens, camera, and everything from the $15,000 in savings? Why didn't you do that? Why'd you go into debt for it?
Well, that's the emergency fund.
Well, good. I'm glad.
I don't want to fit the emergency fund.
I would still rather you take from savings than go into debt, though.
Oh man, he's got it a bit backwards though. It's like he's got the emergency fund. It's great on him for not wanting to touch it, but then to go into debt at 15% over the emergency fund, it's just like, if you have some of the cash, I don't know, I would have used a little more of the cash. It's good on him for not spending the emergency fund, but at the same time, you shouldn't go into debt for that. At least save a little bit more.
What's your rent?
The rent is $300.
What?
And then I consider that LifeLock or whatever, that storage unit, another
What's
rent.
that?
That was like 70 something bucks.
Why is your rent so cheap?
My brother bought the house that I was renting a while ago.
That's nice. So he's getting a good deal on the rent. That is fantastic. Live there as long as you can. Just that's how he's able to save so much money, because his rent is basically non-existent. He's got very little expenses, so he can afford to go and keep an emergency fund, invest in a Roth IRA, take on debt to buy cameras. So he could do all of these things. He's got the world at his fingertips right now, earning $5,000 a month on his own. So it all depends on, though, this rent staying at $380. As soon as that rent goes up, he's kind of screwed.
You drive a lot?
Yes and no. There's times where I'm driving a lot and then times where I'm not. So like if I'm on like a production, then yeah, I'm driving a lot. But if I'm not and I'm just kind of working from home with the client I got.
Well, if you're on a production, you're making more because of it. So that's okay. So let's just say $100.
That's not bad. And again, he can write off a lot of these costs because he's self-employed. That's the one advantage you get. For all the risk it takes with starting your own business and doing it yourself, you at least get the tax write-off. So it at least helps in something like this.
It's like all this money is getting siphoned away everywhere. Then how do I save for like some of the things that I need or want, like a house or a vacation? Like how is that even feasible?
I really like this outline for the budget, by the way. It really tells you exactly where his money's going and how he could actually live on this $5,000 while saving enough money not to go in debt or take out crazy personal loans. It's really nice.
That said, though, that CD that I have, it's non-committal or something like that. It's non...
Yeah, you won't get the... Well, actually...
Like, they don't f me over if I take the money now.
I know, you just won't get the interest. You won't get the winnings.
Oh.
Yeah, it's called a no penalty CD, where really what it is that you get a slightly lower interest rate on the CD, but in exchange for that, you're able to cash out at any point, and they just basically just cap your interest there. So usually there's a minimum hold period. It's like a few days. It could be 7 days or like 30 days. Beyond that, you're free to take the money out. But again, usually that comes with a slightly lower interest rate. It's not the end of the world. I actually really liked my no penalty CDs with Ally Bank. They're fantastic. But now usually the savings accounts pay more because it's short-term, can fluctuate. CD rates are at least fixed.
You're doing like Uber Eats, you're working at a coffee shop like every other aspiring film person, being a waiter. I don't care. You're doing something. You're bringing money. Cut that down from 2 years to a year and a half. Cut it down from a year and a half to 1 year.
Student loans? Is that
the student loans that are above 4%.
I would almost say his time is better spent like getting more film jobs. Like if he doesn't have anything he's doing at the moment, go and like market yourself. Go and work on more viral videos, TikTok, shorts, things that he could be doing on his own to build his own personal brand. I feel like that would give him such a high ROI because if he's already making 60, shouldn't be that hard for him to begin increasing it.
20% of your income. Minimum on a monthly basis is going to your Roth IRA. So you max it out every year.
Okay.
Glad you put that in there. Minimum. Oh, man.
But you should still have about 20 to 30% of your income left over once we're done with all these things.
Sounds all well and good. But what I heard is not getting a house for 5 to 10 years. Is that?
You don't have to rush, dude.
Dude, oh, come on. So what? It takes 5 to 10 years to save up for a house. Yes, that's the reality of it. He's not going to own a house by the age of 30, okay? But with diligent savings, he could do it in 5 to 10 years. That's faster than most people at this point. I think that would be fantastic. In 10 years, guaranteed to buy a house? By all means. I think at this point, given his situation, that is realistic.
I'm in the situation with the client that I have. I was fine like not having them as a client, but then the writer strike happened. So then now I'm kind of like...
You're relying on it.
Yeah. And actually, that was one of the things I was going to ask you. Like, hey, in your opinion, can I drop this client anytime soon? I kind of figured you would say no. Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah, it sucks. There's a lot that's outside of your control. No matter what you do, there's always going to be the external factors at play there. The writer's strike, not something he can control. It's going to impact his business. It is what it is. But again, that's why you save for the times where, it's not going as well. But, you have the savings to fall back on when times are bad. Save when times are good, to fall back when times are bad. That's what I'm trying to say.
Is there any room for any equipment at any time?
Yeah, once you're done with all your bad debts and have a fully funded emergency fund, then absolutely.
Okay, fair.
So for Dustin and his New Orleans Hammer financial score.
All right, I like he's doing this financial score. It reminds me of the Doug score. Doug DeMuro, he rates all the cars at the end of the video. I like this. The hammer, let's just call it the hammer score. You don't need Hammer Finance. We know it's financial. The Hammer score.
Spending in a budget, this is, I think, one of the better ones that we've seen in this category. He doesn't go crazy. So 6 out of 10 for that. There's still too much spending for the situation, but.
All right, I'm gonna say on this one, spending, I agree with the 6. Debt, I'm gonna give him a 3, just because I've seen such atrocities. The debt's not bad, so 3 on debt. Retirement, I'm also gonna say a 3.5, because he's getting there. He's got more than most. Emergency, I'm gonna give a 6, because he's got the emergency fund. It's decent. So 6 on emergency. Real estate, I'm gonna give him a 1, because he's not in a place to buy a home. Let's see what Caleb says.
Debt, not good, especially that stupid personal loan. It's gonna be a 2 out of 10 there. Retirement, 2 out of 10. Emergency fund, 6 out of 10. Definitely not where it needs to be, but real estate, eventually, as we talked about, not now. 0 out of 10. Hammer financial score for now, Dustin, 3 out of 10.
All right, not bad, 3 out of 10. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, feel free to add me on Snapchat and Instagram. And don't forget that you could get some free stocks down below in the description. That could be worth all the way up to a few $1,000s when you make a deposit. Enjoy. Thank you so much, and until next time.